Okay, so we are in the middle of Pirkei Avos here, Pirkei, Mishnah, Dalet. So we're going through the 10 times that Bnei Yisrael tested Hashem. They tested Hashem 10 times. We're in the middle of it. So let's just run through quickly. I think we did the first 3 or 4. We'll just run through it again. The first one was, now it's interesting, the Mishnah does not say which ones they were. So this we're going to hear Rabbeinu Yona's account of it. So says Rabbeinu Yona. So number 1 was Hamibli Ein Kfar Mitzrayim. That's when they were about. This is before they went into the Yam Suf. They had just left Mitzrayim, and they were caught between a rock and a hard place. And the Egyptians were chasing after them. The Yam was in front of them. The desert was on their sides. And they said, Hamibli Ein Kfar Mitzrayim. It was sarcasm. Did you take us out of Egypt due to lack of graves in Egypt? Right? So that was an Nisayan. They were testing Hashem, so to speak. I mean, it's wrong to test Hashem, right? It's interesting now. I would have said these are 10 complaints they had against Hashem. Right? The Lashon of the mission is Asar Nisyonis Nisu Avoseinu as Hamakim Bamidbar. Like it says, I mean, the truth is it's come from the pasuk. They tested me, which might be somewhat of a more positive spin than stam a complaint, right? Stam to complain is not constructive. Sometimes it is. It's not always constructive. But here it was a test. In other words, it wasn't like stam. It often a complaint would just be a person has frustrations in their life. And the way that the way that expresses itself is with a complaint. So the person doesn't really have an issue with the school. The person doesn't really have an issue with the shul, or whatever it is. It's just that this is just the way he deals with his frustrations. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bemoaning Kiviyachol what the Yidden were doing, he used the lashon of Yinasu. They tested me, which is constructive, right? So let's say I want to test. The how much the rabbi of the shul is likes me. So you start to complain, you do this, you do that. So that's not so bad. It's bad, you shouldn't do that. But it's not so bad. I mean, there is a point, there is a constructive purpose, there is a goal in the complaint. So it was an Nisayan, they were testing Hashem. Now it's wrong to test Hashem because they just experienced the 10 Makos in Mitzrayim. So they saw Hashem is with them. But it was this constant testing again and again that was the issue. Rabbi Yerucham Levavitz has a piece, I forget with which one of the Nisyonis, where he talks about the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles after World War II. 1 or 2? 2, I think, no? I think World War II. So they signed, no, it couldn't have been. Yerucham Levavitz, it was World War I. The Treaty of Versailles was after World War I. That was the treaty between everyone, America and the Allies versus the Germans. And he writes there that they signed they're about to sign it. They went through, obviously took a long time to get all the details ironed out. They're about to sign it. And then one of the sides wanted to look at it again. Just one more time, let's comb through the document just to make sure everything is fine. And the other side came out very strong. We're not going back again and looking at this document, at this treaty. We decided this is the correct way to approach things. We went through every single detail. We're not going to let you go through it again. So Rabbi Yerucham was wondering to himself, why not? Why was side A so against side B going through it again? They went through it each, probably thousands of times with all the people on each side going through it individually. And why would you think that there'd be an issue this time? Just let them do it again. Nothing's going to change because it's been so much, it's been gone over so many times. Let them do it. Then he realized this was the issue with the Yidden in the Midbar, is that if you go through it again and again, you're always going to find something new, something else, is a Yetzer Hara to test again and again. And they tested Hashem once, and Hashem showed them. One more time, maybe there's this, and maybe there's that. And they tested Hashem 10 times, and even then, there were issues afterwards. But there's a Yetzer Hara to always question. Someone once said, 2 people I know, since I'm here, said, paralysis by analysis. It's mamish this. It's this Nakuda that Yerucham was pointing out, that this one side of the Treaty of Versailles understood, And that's what Rabbi Schreck says was the issue with the Yidden. It wasn't that they didn't trust Hashem. It's just this Yetzer Hara to always re-examine and re-examine and re-examine. And invariably, if you look at a complicated matter, if you look at it from this angle, you're going to find most things in life aren't perfect. Dare we say nothing is perfect, right? Except for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So invariably, one's going to find issues. And that's why a person has to make a decision and then provide it after he does the proper analysis, but we can't have paralysis by analysis. But that's just, as we're learning, I'm just realizing that it's called an Isayah. They were testing Hashem. It wasn't like throwing a complaint because of frustration. The goal of the complaint was to test to see if they would be saved. So the first one was, Hamibli Ein Kfar b'Mitzrayim. Is there due to a lack of graves in Egypt that you took us out of Mitzrayim? That was number one. And Hashem saved them. They were afraid of death. They were obviously in a very tense situation. Hashem saved them. Number two was the first of 3 times they complained about lack of water. Of the 10 tests, 30% were focused on water. The first one was just after they left the Yam Suf. We had no water, and that's when Hashem sent Moshe Rabbeinu through the bitter tree into the water, and the water became sweet. Right? So they complained for water. Hashem saved them. Number 3 was in Midbar Sin. Well, the Rabbeinu Yona says they asked for bread, sheshalu lechem, and then he quotes the pasuk, "B'shiftenu al sir habasa." They were waxing poetic about their time in Egypt, where they had a lot of meat. Now, in Rashi, there you see that there were 2 complaints. They wanted bread, and that what Rashi says that was the appropriate complaint. And they got that. They got the mun, and it was given to them nicely with a bit of dew underneath and a bit of dew on top, like in a box. And it was given in the morning at a good time, at a good distance from their houses, from their tents. But the meat they shouldn't have been asking for. They shouldn't have asked for the meat, and that they got the slav at an inconvenient time to go out and get it. And Hashem did not give it to them in a nice way. But again, it's food. It was about the meat, and Hashem gave it to them. So far, the first 3 Nisyonos, 2 are about food, and Hashem basically responds positively to each one. All 3, Hashem saves them, Hashem gives them what they want. Number 4, Hayesh Hashem b'kibeinu im ayin, is the second complaint about the water. This happened soon after that. The second complaint about the water, that's where Hashem instructed Moshe Rabbeinu to hit the rock. Mara, that was the first time. Hashem instead instructed Moshe Rabbeinu to hit the rock. He hit the rock, and it gave forth the water. Rabbeinu Yona brings the Chazal that says the parable, the mashal, to a father who's carrying his child on his shoulder, and he's saving this child from all the people that are trying to attack them. And then they ask, where's my father? The kid where's my father? The father takes him off his shoulders and throws him on the floor, and the kid gets attacked. Hashem did the same thing. Amalek comes and attacks them, and they win the war. So the 4th Nisayon, the 4th test, is when Hashem actually punished them. That's the first time that he punished them, and that was about water as well. Hachamishi, they left over from the man. They left over the man. They were told not to leave over. This is a bitachon issue. I mean, imagine every day you open your cabinet at night. There is no food in the house. There's no food in the house. And you have to bitachon that tomorrow morning, Lahavdil, Amazon is going to deliver to Walmart.com is going to deliver to your house. You have to have bitachon. And they left over the man. There was no punishment. I mean, the man got rotten. There was no punishment. But again, it was a food. So far, 3 out of the first 4 have to do with food. Hashishi b'Refidim, the 6th one was in Refidim. Again, they didn't have water. We had in Parashas Chukas, this is Mei Meriva. This is where Moshe Rabbeinu, on his level, got angry and hit the rock. He was supposed to have spoken to the rock. Instead, he hit the rock. The 3rd, he signed about water, and Hashem listened to them. And Hashem gave them water. There's no punishment. That was number 5. That was number 6. Number 7 is the Maisa Egel. Number 7 is the Egel Hazav. This is not a physical. This again, there was a certain, we call it the tense situation. They thought Moshe Rabbeinu died. He didn't die, and they feared who's going to lead us. And they did, according to the Gemara, Avodah Zarah, it was Avodah Zarah. According to the Ramban, it wasn't Avodah Zarah. Different opinions. But this was like an intellectual Nisayah. They made this Egel Hazav, which best case scenario was going to be their leader. Worst case scenario was an Avodah Zarah. That was number 7. And they got punished. That one, Hashem punished them, was a Magefa. Many Yidden died. Thousands, tens of thousands. Shmini, the 8th one, was the Misoinanim. Right? This is back in Parshas Ba'aloischa. It's one pasuk. They were complaining. It was bad in the ears of Hashem. There's no more words about what exactly the complaint was. This is the drasha from Parshas Ba'aloischa that we spoke about. Another one from Rabbi Yerucham, that they complained about the derech. They complained about the journey, the traveling. And when a person is traveling to the place that's going to make all his troubles disappear, the place where his parent told him everything's going to be fine, you don't really complain so much about the derech. If you're on board with the program, you're not going to complain so much. If you go into the World Series, you go into the championship game, you go into the Siyam Hashas, L'havdil. So, okay, if the derech is met with various obstacles, you're not going to complain so much because you're going to like the most amazing thing you're going to see. So that was the issue there. Is that Hashem saw they weren't with him. They were complaining about the journey. Complaining about the journey means not really on my team. That was met with behavior and H. So Hashem took care of them. There was a Mageifa there. Hashem took care of them, and that was they were punished. That was the Misoinim. Then you have Hachi B'Kivas HaTaiva, also right there in Ba'aloischa, where they wanted back to meat. They wanted to have meat. So the Rabbeinu says, but they didn't have meat. Of course they had meat. They're having a slav, but it was a complaint. They wanted to have more meat, different meat. So Hashem sent them the meat, and it was also Hashem fulfilled their request. At the same time, Hashem also punished them. Habasa was a denu bein shineim. Some of them died with the meat in their teeth. Some of them died when it got down to the stomach. Some it took 30 days to die. There was a Mageifa as well. The Rabbeinu Yona explains like this. See there he goes on a bit of an arichas. He says, just like the mun never stopped from coming down every morning, they also had the slav. They had the meat in the afternoons. So what were they complaining about? Why they wanted it in this 9th Nisayan? Why did they ask for meat? They wanted meat to fill them up. There wasn't enough slav. Didn't have enough. We wanted more meat. Again, the shecht, all tzoyin and bakar. I mean, they have meat. We're giving them slav. Now they want more. The Amar Moshe was saying, they have a lot of meat. I'm not sure what they're complaining about. They have so much meat. You don't really need meat. They're not lacking anything. It's roya levavim. It's just a bad heart. They're stubborn nation. Meaning, the more you give them, they're not going to be happy. This is like the only time I think maybe in these 10 nisyonis, where Moshe Rabbeinu says their complaint is just a complaint. He's saying you're going to shecht all the animals in the world. It's not going to be enough for them because it's not out of a lacking. As opposed to the other nisyonis, there was a lacking. They asked in the wrong way. There are other issues with the way they asked. Here, they shouldn't be asked in the first place because they're not lacking anything. But they're still going to complain. Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, is Hashem's hand going to be too short? I'm going to give them meat. I'm going to give them so much meat that they're not going to be able to say that there's not enough. I'm going to flood them with meat, says Hashem. So much meat that it was, each person had 10 piles of meat. There's no way they can justify their complaints anymore. And they couldn't eat it. When Moshe said, are you going to shecht all the animals? He did not sin with that. The Gemara in Yoma says that it was on Moshe Rabbeinu's level a complaint, as if it was machlokes or b'shul b'kim, maybe machlokes tanaim, whether Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, Hashem, you can't do that. It's not possible it's a request that you can't fulfill. So the Rabbeinu is saying, no. Moshe Rabbeinu was just saying that the complaint was for the sake of complaining, not because they needed it. That was the 9th Nisayan. That was also focused on food. Asiri was finished up here, but Midbar Parak Shacham Araglin. The 10th Nisayan was, between that and the Egel, the worst one is when they sent them Araglin. This is out of a lack of trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's where it says, you tested me 10 times. So of the 10 Nisyonis, right, 6 of them are food. Two of them will say the Egel and the Meraglim were like philosophical, right? Like they felt we have no leader. They felt that there's no leader. They felt that who's going to take us is Avodah Zarah. The Meraglim also is lack of bitachon. Then you had the first one was when leaving Mitzrayim was they were in a between a rock and a hard place, didn't know what to do. Then you had the Misoyanim, which was a tirch of the derech. So maybe next time we'll qualify and categorize these 10 nisyonis, and we'll continue weiter with Mishnah.